Nasty. But getting better. The Simpsons Pinball Party MPU with alkaline corrosion abated, southwest of the game ROM, and there was a little bit up here also. So the socket was toast. It had too much corrosion in it. Any corrosion is too much, so I removed the socket, put a new socket in, abated the corrosion underneath it, and I had to run some jumpers on the backside. It required 3 of them to replace some of these traces. Also installed NVRAM and replaced the power input header. And on the driver board, I replaced the power output header. On the MPU, I found a nice convenient way of tying pin 3 of the DS1232 to 5 volts, which sets it to reset at 4.5 volts versus the default 4.75. And on the driver board, unfortunately that pin was cut, so there's nothing I can do about that for the driver board. But let's put it into test. And I already have it running. Why don't we have any feature lamps? Let's just see about that. Must not have something connected right, but let's see. Let's test the lamps right away. Sure enough, no lamps. Well, let's get to the bottom of that first. Thanks to the pick and place machine at the board manufacturer of Stern Pinball, you have to add solder to each leg that you're going to desolder, or you're going to have a very difficult time. A badly corroded header pin on J7, which drives one of the solenoid circuits. The client is going to need to replace the housing and use trifurcon pins to repin the connector. Back on the bench with this Simpsons Pinball Party board pair, and where I last left off, nothing on the driver board was operating, or at least I thought that the lamp matrix was the only thing not operating, but it turns out nothing was operating on the driver board. So a couple hours later, we have the lamp matrix operating, and I'll show you the solenoids in just a second, but let's get it into test. And the problem was somehow high voltage must have been shorted to some of the address or data lines that these HCT 273, and there was an HC 245 that was roasted also. And all of these chips with the gold triangle on the corner that I've drawn on there were blown. So that's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 ICs were blown. The only chips that were not blown were over here in the lamp matrix. And there was a, I guess this is an LS138 for chip selection. So it took quite a while. Stern maddeningly always bent the legs of the IC over in the socket or on the board, and that makes it doubly hard to get them out. So it takes a while. You have to add solder, and I sent a picture, or I put a picture of that in the initial overfly. So we've got all the switches working. And I'm going to cycle through all these coils. You saw a few light up here extraneously when I started it. Some White Star boards do that. I attribute it to the thunk sort of thing that Gottlieb does with its driver board. I was watching a couple of those on my video camera, and I want to go back and see those because they look like they blinked a little incorrectly. Let me see which ones those are. These last 16 appear to be just fine. All right, now we're going to go through a couple of Augs ones. 4, 5. Oh, okay. Those were the flipper circuits, and these over here were the jet bumpers, so those are all okay. Let's go back to lamp test. We will cycle them all. That is working 100%. Gird yourself.
Set your reactions to stun. You are a sight to behold. Your play is outstanding. You're very skilled. Set your reaction. You are a sight to behold.
Well, I would love to own one of these games. They're fantastic in my mind. Let's see. Adjustments. Not as good at this as I am with WPC. I'm just going to set this to free play. And I noticed that well, that's good enough. Well, I did, since I had to replace the DS1232, I ran a jumper from positive 5 volts to this through hole, which appears to have been left available for setting the DS1232 to 1 voltage or another, pin 3, and pin 3 of the DS1232 just goes to that through hole. All done. Thank you for your patience while I work through this one.